Hi everyone, Jonathan Armstrong here with MODogma.com. I'm an environment artist working in the video game industry, and I will be presenting a series of free art tutorials online. I hope you enjoy them. Today I'm going to show you how to use XformUV to quickly do edits to your UVs in Maya. These commands are more versatile than the normal Maya UV editor toolset and best for repetitive tasks or fine-tuning. First of all, to be able to download the program, you need to go to highend3d.com. You can just do a Google search for it for XformUV Maya, and you get this page. It's going to ask you to download. Usually it asks you to sign in for a free account, but what you can do is actually go to bugmenot.com and type in highend3d.com, and this account seems to usually be working, so you can just use those credentials to sign in, and then you'll be able to have rights to download the file. So you just download it, go to the location in your system, open that, and then just follow the install instructions, which say copy and paste the scripts. Just take all of these, then insert them into my documents, my whatever year you have, and then scripts. So I have a shortcut for my Maya directory. Okay, so let's just say I wanted to do 2016 scripts, and then I would just paste them there. Just you can either drag and drop it or paste. And the same thing goes for the icons. Just go to the icons folder, prefs icons, and then just take all of these and drag them in there. I already have them, so I don't need to do this step. Okay, so then you want to restart Maya, and once you have Maya, what you can do is type in, where does it show that? Okay, I just had it. Okay, there we go. Type this exact line into your Maya script editor, the quick script entry bar, and then hit enter. Oh, you don't need the actual quotations. Take those out and hit enter. Actually, let's see. Okay, you have to install or copy and paste this whole line. Paste that, and then you can push enter. I believe what that does is add a shelf button. Let's try and just delete this to test, because I already have a button. It's not adding a new one. Okay, so we don't have one now. Let's push enter here. Yeah, what it does is add a new shelf button. So you just click this and it gives you all your commands, and this is where the real power comes in. You don't even have to open your UV editor most of the time, but if you do open your UVs, just open it in a tiny window here and select the shell of this. Let's say that the texel density was kind of small for these bricks, so I want to scale them larger instead of being inaccurate and going in with the scale tool like normal in Maya and scaling them. What I can do is actually get an exact number. So whenever I go to scale, I can enter something like 1.25 for UNV, and scale UV is going to scale them both. Oops, I didn't push enter first on this one, that's why it didn't take scale UV, and it's going to be very uniform scale. You can actually just scale one at a time, and if you keep pushing the same button, it just keeps scaling in that direction, which is useful. There's another quick list for the drop down of most commonly used values, like double scale is a big one if you want to scale by 2, and then half is another one, and you can just keep scaling to your heart's desire. Okay, then there's mirror U, mirror V. Those are already in Maya, so those aren't the most useful. But there's one that if you want to scale and you have some kind of detail that you need to keep at the bottom left over here, and you don't just want to scale it so that you lose the location of this edge. Instead of in Maya, you'd have to change your pivot to there and then scale it. In the XformUV, it'll automatically find the bottom pivot location, so you just check set pivot, use the drop down, calculate either bottom right or bottom left, top right, top left. Right here I want to use bottom left, so it automatically will know, and then it puts the values in here, and then when I scale U and V, it's going to keep it on that pole all the time, so that's really handy. Let's see, okay, this is a good one for using on props, especially in Substance now. If you need to use a UV set where you don't want stacked UVs, like let's say that I have all my UVs here stacked on top of each other for this window. Let me select all the instances first. Okay, it's not selecting all of them. Oh, yeah, it is. It's just that part of the texture. Okay, so these are all stacked now, and if I only wanted to move most of them without affecting one of them, like the last one, you just want to leave it. Okay, let me actually demonstrate this. If I attach all of these first. Okay, it looks like it's taking a while because those are all instances and it doesn't know what to do. Okay, it's finished now. So all these are one object. And let's say that I select all the windows, but I wanted to leave one of them to be able to actually keep on the normal UV space for if I wanted to paint in Substance. It's only going to take whatever's in the actual 0 to 1 UV window. So if I wanted to move these correctly to just the window on the other texture, let's do this image. Okay, I'm trying to get the UVs to repeat here. I think it's image range. Let's go to minimum. Let's just do 10 for everything here. Okay, so if I wanted to move this over exactly to the other window, I'd have to do some guesswork. There might be a seam, especially if your normals need to line up. That's not going to look good. Maya does have a command now that didn't used to in its own UV window where you can move by a certain value, which defaults 1 because that's what most people need, so you can move it up or down just to keep your UVs more clean, and you don't want to have to select out of multiple stacked faces every time. But for a while it didn't have that, and the XformUV is really helpful for that. You can just use these arrows to quickly move your UV shells by 1 unit, And also if you divided these specifically, like these windows here, and you wanted to find out what the other window texture space would be, I don't think I did that for this, but I can just kind of guess 0.25 for U and then move it over. So that's going to quickly change this window to the next one. It's going to swap it out. So maybe it is actually 0.25. Then I can go down to, oops, I didn't change that value first, 0.25 and V, so I can change it. Oh, it's not 0.25, it's probably 0.35 or 0.75. Okay, good enough for right now. So you can just quickly swap between different parts of the texture, and it's going to be exact each time. The move also has the quick ratios or the quick values that you're going to use. 0.1 is if you just want to nudge something a little bit on a texture to make it look a little different, like if it was the brick portion. Just like the shell. If you just want to kind of nudge it over a bit, you can use that 0.1. If you wanted to multiply it by 10, that's going to increase it so the movement is much farther each time. Right now it's back at 1, so you can't tell, but now it's 10, so still you can't tell, but it's going to move it a lot farther on the texture space. You can divide it by 10, and there's other values too. These you can all play around with. I think it just takes the ratio of the texture size versus the UV shell size. Okay, so the rotate is also pretty nice because in Maya it usually only has 90-degree snapping. Oh, that's flip. Okay, here's rotate. So 90 degrees, which is helpful, but sometimes you want to make a pattern look like it's irregular or have a 45-degree angle is pretty useful. So 45 would be like that in the UV XForm. And then you can also set your own degrees, or just click on one of these and it'll snap it to that angle each time. So this is just a quick way to rotate, and it has more values. You can also enter your own too. Okay, so the last one is actually the most important for me, is whenever you're stacking a bunch of UV shells, like back to these windows, say, and let's say, because sometimes when you're working you're going pretty fast and it's sloppy, so you might not have everything line up just right, and this is an exaggeration, but I mean it could be just even like a millimeter off, something like that. And if I wanted to line back up all these windows again, what you can do quickly is you don't even have to select the whole shell, just as long as you have a UV on each one of them selected, it'll work, which is really cool. And then in here you can either align to right edge, left edge, top edge, bottom edge, or middle, which aren't the most useful. You also stack shells too, which is probably the most useful, and then you just have to move it later. So if you do stack, it's going to stack them all in the same space, and then you can just move them all cleanly to wherever you need it on the texture. But in this case I already had one that I liked, so I can just use, for instance, a good technique is to kind of move them farther up, because you don't know which one is the highest, or if the original is actually lower or higher, since all these are in different spots. So I'll move them all higher and to the left of the original, and then select the original, then move to the right edge, so they're all to the right edge now, and then move down. Okay, so now they're all stacked cleanly on whatever the reference shell was. Another good technique to use for this portion of the tool is if it's, your UVs are kind of rotated irregularly, and you want them all to be right angles because of most environment art is going to be using right angle UVs. You select them and you can go to orient shells, and that'll make sure they're all right angles, and then from there you can just select the ones that are the incorrect orientation and just use Maya's rotate to get them back at 90 degrees. And you can even stack those and then align them to the other one. Okay, so then there's another one though. If they're all derotated, you can do, that was orient shells, but if you do orient single, it tries to find the most applicable angle for all shells. So yeah, it's hard to kind of explain here, but I think if these were kind of almost straight, like up and down vertical straightness, but a little bit off, then I think that orient single is going to make them all so that they're straight up and down or horizontal. Yeah, so okay, let me try this as a better explanation. Okay, let's say that they're all kind of in a line, but they're all rotated like this, and you wanted to snap them so that they're all 90 degrees again. You'd use orient single, and then that just put it horizontal orientation right now, but you can use your rotate to get it back to the correct orientation. And then of course there's flatten UVs. Same thing as Maya's command, where you can flatten to an edge. Up here is flatten down, up. What's really nice about that is if you did have an edge in the middle, you can actually flatten them to middle. Because sometimes you just want the distance between two spots to be flattened. You always want to have the UV selected to, not edges, for this to work. And what I've done actually is, if you run one of these and then you open up your script editor and you want to flatten to edge, then you can just take that to echo all commands, history echo all commands, so that it shows me what I'm doing. Then I use the tool to snap them, and then you can just create actual buttons from up here. I think it's just this value 1 or 0 relates to any of these buttons on the flatten UVs. So I've got these up here, and if I wanted to just totally smash my UVs to get a single color on the pixel, then I have one that does both of them at the same time, or I have one that just quickly does one or the other, vertical or horizontal. And what's nice about that is if I click one, then I can run it on other shells with just using G, because usually Maya will not let you use G on UV commands, or nor using the SDV XformUV tool. You can't use G again. Well, just let me do it there, but I don't know if that's correct. Let's see, just so you know what those buttons are. Okay, so SDV Flatten UVs 2 will do both shells, vertical and horizontal. snapping. Just snapping in the middle is SDV Flatten UV 0, and flatten vertically is SDV Flatten UVs 1. So that's if you want to add these and type them in, SDV Flatten UVs 1, and then you could just highlight that and middle mouse drag it to your shelf, and then find out wherever, go to the icons folder for this tool wherever you used to install icons originally, and plug it into the buttons for your hotkey. So you just go here and go to your image name, the icon name, and select it from that folder, and it would create an icon like this. So that way you could probably do it with any of these shell snapping tools. That way you don't even have to really use this pop-up window if you didn't want to, but it's so convenient that I always use it anyway. Okay, so I hope that this UV tool will help speed up your UV arrangement pipeline. It's mainly used for refining shells and doing UV edits after you've already unwrapped an object. And if you just wanted to quickly tweak something like texel density or UV orientation, or changing it on the local UV location, just make sure in UV object space it's in a different spot on the UVs, but you still want to keep it on the same portion of the texture. It's easy for moving shells like that too. For instance, if you have like instances of objects like rocks or something else, and you have 10 of them on a different sheet, and you just want to quickly move them, and you have them all kind of in Photoshop spaced out correctly, you can quickly use the move tool to do all that. It's a great tool, and it'll vastly increase your UV work, especially as an environment artist. Alright, I hope that helped. If you liked what you saw, make sure to subscribe, as I have lots more tutorials in store for you guys. Also, if you want to know more about getting a job in video games, head over to MODogma.com.